all roads leads back to self. If we want a better community, we have to heal the family. If we want a better family, we have to heal the relationship. If we want to heal the relationship, but guess what? I have to heal me.
And I have to heal me.
And you have to heal you.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to another episode of the Big Dog Talk Podcast. It's your boy, Big Charles, in the building.
What's up, y'all? Big Shay is back in the building. Did you miss me?
How was your week? How have life been for you lately?
Cause baby,
life been
lifing.
Listen,
No, let me start. These doggone kids went back to school.
Wait, cheers. You always giving us this good wine. I know you
Child. Cheers.
Cheers to getting through the first week.
First week.
All right, I'm sorry.
Our children, the younger to the boys, went back to school this week. And when I tell you, it's been hectic. Summer not only impacts the kids, but it impacts us too.
Right.
You know, and this year they are in two separate schools. We got a middle schooler, and then we have one still in elementary school. So dropping off at two schools, trying to make sure the time is right, get everybody there on time, pick everybody up on time.
Get them ready for jiu-jitsu and have dinner ready and
checking in, making sure, you know, the days are going well, how they feeling, how the classes are going, how's the teacher, how's the social, like staying tapped into all of that has been draining.
It's grateful though. I was tired this week, but we got through it though. We were still able to. So being a mom, being a dad, being a husband,
being a wife,
being parent, being an entrepreneur,
yeah, that
working
too.
a full-time job,
working out,
still having to take care of your health. Got to make sure kids go to training and make sure that we eat dinner.
Yeah, and not take out, but cook it.
Right.
All the things. So many balls to juggle and keep in the air. You know what I'm saying? So adding school back into the equation, it changed it up tremendously. I'm up at 6 instead of 7. I want that hour. I like that hour.
I'm back up at 4:30.
Right. Out the door at 7:45 instead of, you know, later, like 9 o'clock, you know, 9:30. But hey,
it's life, baby.
That's what life is all
Don't
about.
Feel sorry for me. But anyway, it whooped my butt though. So we here. We're back here today.
And I'm ready for week 2. We'll take it 1 week at a time.
Right. 1 week at a time.
Listen, we went to bed on time. We was going to bed at 9, no later than 9:15. Y'all, we was in the bed at 9 o'clock looking at each other like, no pillow talk tonight. Good night.
You ain't even want pillow talk with your boy. I'm talking about it's like not enough time in the day where we get to the room, you take a shower, you get in the bed, you get on the phone for a second, I get in the shower, I stretch to get in the bed, it's time to go to sleep. You put your phone down, I'm like, babe, we ain't gonna talk now.
Listen, the transitions.
No, you say good night.
Good night. That's a good night. The transitions are so quick. You know what I mean? You get home from work, you gotta take one of the kids to training, or you gotta go to training. I get off work, I gotta go to spin class or go right into meal prepping like for the week. So the transitions be so quick that the downtime comes when we get upstairs and start preparing for bed.
But I will say this, though. You know.
You heard me?
I will say this. So, like, the first week was hectic. And I honestly, I was just like, I couldn't wait till Friday because I knew I wanted to take you out on a date.
That was a great date, too, by the way.
I wanted to go. I was like, listen. Nah, this ain't it. Life, this ain't it. We're going to go out Friday.
But you said life is not gonna take away date night.
Nah, we can't do that. We can't. We gonna go out on a date. And we had a good time though.
It was great.
Rooftop. We went to a dive bar, was it?
No, it wasn't really. I mean, yeah.
Well, they played music.
Yeah, it was a very good vibe.
We walked the streets, listened to music. Went and got some food afterwards. Got home around 1 o'clock in the morning.
1 o'clock in the morning.
Like some little kids.
Right.
And then the next day we spent some family time. And that turned out to be horrible.
Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah.
It didn't go as planned. My feelings was hurt.
Yeah, it didn't go as planned.
My feelings was hurt because I was like, okay, I want the boys to, everybody gonna rest this weekend. I'm gonna take mom out on Friday.
Right.
Had a good time with mom. But then on Saturday, I said I wanted to take the kids. I let them do a little bit more school shopping. We go out to eat, just have a nice little vibe.
The weather was great, you know. I had all the pressure. Everybody, make sure you're looking good. We're gonna be outside today, you know. That's kind of where it started. We're going to be outside today, you know, dressed cute and summery.
It started with mom being frustrated at everybody because they didn't want to do her agenda. Mommy wanted us to be on a schedule.
No.
9 o'clock, you guys get ready.
No. That's
10 o'clock, we're going to be out of here.
That's not how it went. I was like, yeah, okay, you guys have 45 minutes to get ready. Can you guys do it? One of the kids was like, yep, let's do it. The other two was like, I'll try. I was like, you'll try? That's it. I'll wait for Dad to come home, let him play in the day.
She had an attitude.
I actually didn't have an attitude.
Well, you wanted me to get on. You was like,
I didn't have attitude though. I promise you, I didn't have attitude. I was just like, these kids, I don't know. What do you think we should do? They just talking about they'll try. Like I was being more like sarcastic about it versus having a real attitude. I didn't have an attitude.
She didn't have a real attitude, but it was a slight, gentle attitude where she was like, in Autumn, she gonna tell me
I'll try. Her and Charles.
Her and Charles gonna tell me I'll try. So I'm not gonna worry about it. It's not no big deal.
It wasn't a big deal.
Nobody wanted to be on a strict agenda. We just had a hectic week and we wanted to, you know, just relax and have a good time. Right. But anyway, it still didn't go as I expected it to go. Make a long story short, we got a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 21-year-old. And that 10 and 12-year-old, they're close in age, always competing. They love each other a lot, but boy, when they argue, it sucks.
It really does suck.
And I told myself I wasn't going to fuss all day. I was going to be patient. Then I was patient all day. Then I just exploded at the end. They was arguing and fussing and fighting. I couldn't take it no more. Slept on it last night. Talked about it this morning.
At breakfast.
I made everyone breakfast. And we handled it like some gangsters.
I mean, it's clear as day though. Like they've always been, they 23 months apart, right? So They always have spent a lot of time together. They're at a point in their maturation and development where they go to different schools now. You know, that 12 to 10 year age is actually very different in where they are, like maturity wise and development.
Right.
And so
the youngest brother don't want to be
he don't want to be the youngest brother.
He like, don't call me
Don't label
Charles.
that.
I'm my own person.
I'm not in his shadow. Like I'm glad I'm glad he's not at my school no more. And what?
I respect it.
And then the middle schooler think middle school is college.
Right.
So he feeling himself like it feel good to say you in 7th grade, that's middle school. Like he's just really all about it. So it's they in a phase in brotherhood where they gonna be fighting.
So listen, I teach I guess I'm the only child, right? But I know people that have siblings, and they used to fight and throw hands all the time.
Right.
I'm talking about punch, all of that. But me, I don't allow my kids to fight each other. I don't. And, you know, I don't allow the big brother to put his hands on little brother. I train my kids to, we don't use our strength against family. We use it to protect family. Right. You know, so I didn't put you in all of these different martial arts to fight one another. I put you in martial arts to be able to protect self, to be able to protect your brother, your sister, your mom and dad. And when you step outside of these doors, it's you against it's y'all two against the world. Nobody crossed that line.
Right.
Some wouldn't agree with me and say, hey, it's common that we fight each other. This is what we do. This is how you get better. This is how you get tougher. But I'm not allowing my sons to punch each other in the face.
To be physical.
No, I'm not. So that's what it is. It is what it is.
It is. Like we're keeping it so real right now.
Right.
Like it is. Yeah, this is hot off the press. Hot off the press. Like not even 24 hours off the press.
My feelings was hurt. My feelings was hurt because I took off. Daddy took all week and planned while at work to spend quality time with mom separately. Then we was gonna do it with the family together. Spent time with mom Friday night. We had a great time.
So much fun.
Saturday, youngest child complained the entire time. Even the big brother, he was complaining as well. Mm-hmm. Mommy had some moments where she was complaining.
Let me just say
you
this.
Don't have to even. You don't have to do that.
But I want to.
All right, well, go ahead.
But I want to. what I'm learning too about these two, shopping with them is not fun. Like, it's just not fun. It's like everything that you present to them is something wrong with it. Every store they walk into is something wrong with it. Something is wrong with everything. And the last time we went shopping, gave you some time by yourself, and I took them or whatever. They was doing the exact same thing. And then the next time, exact same thing. So by the time yesterday came, and I'm like, they're doing the exact same thing. That was at the point where I realized I was like, I'm tired of it. I'm just sick of it with them. Like, I'm tired of it.
The thing is, mommy give them too many choices.
I
don't do that. So
I do.
I wasn't aggravated at all. It was either I was going to get them these clothes, whether they liked them or not, right?
Right.
And I was going to eventually make them wear them. Or if they didn't want to get the clothes, they didn't have to. They were going to wear the same clothes as last year. Simple as that. Right. Problem solved. Problem solved. But anyway, I don't want to make this about the kids today.
Right. But I mean, we just
talking about life.
We catching up.
All right, we catching up.
We catching y'all up on Life with the Hawkins. Welcome to our world right now. We got somebody that's about to be a teenager and a preteen. Now, yesterday, but just to wrap this up, baby girl was funny.
My daughter.
Oh, that was the life of the party yesterday. She had me cracking up.
Go ahead, because I want to talk about her.
She was so funny. Like, she kept lightening up every situation and just like making it funny, like making comedy out of everything. Like, she was actually real fun yesterday. She was in her vibe.
Let me tell you something.
Asked you to buy her stuff, and she was gonna buy a $3.99 brush, but she was gonna buy the expensive stuff.
So my baby, my child, my daughter, she's like daddy's piece though. Like, it's just, that girl is special to me. When she's away from college, to me it's just so hectic. But when she's home, she calms my mind down.
She brings a great dynamic.
She brings a great energy to everyone brings a great energy to the family.
Hers is just calming.
Mommy's is an uproar. Daddy's is an uproar. Boys is an uproar. My daughter's just like,
Talk about, so Pops, are they going to get in trouble? Calm.
But anyway, I love you, baby. And if you listen to this, I appreciate you and your energy. But anyway.
Child. So on the real spiel for today, I wanted to kind of flip the script on you. Okay. I wanted to flip the script. Okay, in a good way. Yeah, in a good way. I ain't going to flip the script on you in a bad way, like in a good way. So where you are, with the podcast and, how you've been able to gain so many, it's not really about followers, but gain followers through strategy and content creation, but you are legitimately building a community, right? And there's so many. If you guys are listening to other podcasts, which you probably are, if you're listening to us, you probably are just a person that likes listening to podcasts. There's so many different genres of podcasts that are out there. And so you could have chosen any like trending podcast genre to go after it, you know what I mean, to make it easily appealing to what people are used to. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right, correct.
And so, clear as day, you chose not to do that. Right. What you did choose was to focus on self-development, self-awareness, healing journey, family, faith, fitness, and freedom. Finances. How could I forget finances? And so I didn't tell you this, but today I kind of wanted you to wrap everything up in a bow, because I'm pretty sure like a lot of our listeners get the gist of what Big Dog Talk Podcast is all about by listening to it.
Right.
If they follow you on social media, if they hopping on lives with you, if they're watching your content, anything that you do, it ties back into what your mission and your vision is for the podcast.
Right.
But I'm really about like just keeping it a buck, being straightforward, and letting people know, like, why did you, Big Charles, choose to build a healing community through podcasting?
Ooh, that's a loaded question.
It's very loaded, so you could start wherever. Essentially, I want to interview you today. Okay. You always taking the lead on his podcast. So I said today I'm gonna flip the switch, and I would like for you to really share your why. I think that that's important to, keeping people understanding their connection to the podcast by sharing your why. Why did you choose the healing community out of all the things we could be talking about right now?
Okay. I'm going to start here. as you guys know, I'm a preacher's kid. My dad was a preacher. I grew up in the church.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and Sunday morning and Sunday night. I grew up in church. Love watching my dad preach, hear him preach. But I had my own experience growing up in church.
Right.
I knew I had my own mission in life. Once I thought I was supposed to be a preacher because so much I wanted to be like my father. I thought I was supposed to preach in a church. I thought I was going to be a preacher.
So much so that you did.
I tried twice.
Sermons.
I tried to be a preacher twice.
A minister.
When I was 16, I've never even shared this story before. When I was 16, I tried to be a minister, had a sermon, and I did amazing. Packed the house out. The message was clear as it was fire.
Love that.
It was 16, but something just wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. Then I turned 21, 22, 23, and I tried to do it again.
You were 23 years old.
I tried to do it again. And
I was there to witness that.
And that one, fire again.
So good.
Fire. And I had my own experience in church, so I was attempting to be a minister, and I would just hear a voice while I was on the front row saying, "You're bigger than this." Mm-hmm. This is no disrespect to church. Mm-hmm. I kept hearing a voice saying, "You're bigger than this. You're bigger than these four walls. You're bigger than this. Your mission is bigger than this." So I had it internally. I kept hearing and feeling that voice, and it got to the point where I felt like a lion trapped in a cage. My spirit wouldn't allow me, Mm-hmm. So to fast forward, and then you're gonna have to ask me questions later to break everything down.
Because I want to kind of pause right there. So when you say you felt trapped in a cage, like what does that mean? Like what was it about whatever was happening in that space that made you feel trapped and not able to really? When you say you feel trapped, to me, like I feel like that's like you weren't able to freely flow in the person that you are.
All right, yeah. So, okay, gotta rewind it.
Okay.
I grew up in church. Now, I always had my own personality. I always thought for myself.
Right.
I've always had influence. I've always been a leader. I've always built people from birth, from a child. And respectfully, I don't mean this any kind of way, but I was hurt in church. I was hurt in church as a young child, as a young adult, as a older
adult, right?
I was hurt in church, and not so only because I was different. I was being myself.
Right.
I was authentic. If they asked me a question, I was giving them my honest answer.
Right.
So when you go back to asking, you said what does that trapped mean? I wasn't able to be myself, and it got to a point where I had to put on a certain kind of mask, and listen, this is not downgrading the church, but we do put on a mask, and we bring our Sunday's best.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And who I was at church, that was a part of me, but they also had other sides of me as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? I grew up in the church, and I'm also from the hood.
Right.
Which, listen, my father was a preacher, and my uncle was a big time dope dealer.
Right.
And he was like a person I looked up to, and like almost like a best friend.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All of my close friends were in the streets. You know what I mean?
Right.
My daddy your environment shapes you.
Right.
So I was a preacher's kid, but I also was a kid from the hood.
Right.
And I just felt trapped because I couldn't be myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? The way I talk, the way I am, the way I carry myself, it was good. It was beneficial for the leaders until I didn't want to do things their way. Mm-hmm. So I just felt trapped. Right. Like I couldn't be myself. I was putting on a mask to make my parents look good.
Right.
They always say that it's the preacher's kids that's the worst one.
Right. Right.
Meanwhile, we're just human beings, though.
Right.
So I just felt trapped.
So I just want to say, like, at this moment that you getting to where we're going, which is why you chose the healing community and sharing your story.
Right.
I just want to say that it absolutely has nothing to do. This is not about the church.
No. I'm getting ready to break that down.
This conversation and me choosing today to catch you off guard and talk to you about why you chose to build a healing community on your podcast has everything to do with connecting your story and your mission to your community. The church is a part of your story.
So here's the thing. All roads always lead back to self.
Absolutely.
All roads lead back to self. No matter what I went through, you know what I mean? It was still God doing that.
Right.
Because if I didn't go through everything that I experienced in church, if I didn't experience the hurt when I was a kid, if I didn't experience the hurt when I was a young adult, if I didn't experience the hurt when I was adult, it wouldn't have brought me to ask the question one day when I said, okay, God, I know I'm supposed to build your people. I know I'm supposed to be an example. I know I'm here for a purpose. If you can't give me a platform where I can be my authentic self, then I'm done. I remember having this conversation with God. It was like, if I can't be myself, then I'm not gonna do anything. I'll just do what I have to do with life.
So that was you kind of led the way, because I wanted you to be able to share what was the moment like when you realized that being a part of church was in some ways outside of what you truly felt you were called to do. What was that moment like? So you started talking about how, you started praying to God and you started asking him, like, what is it that I'm supposed to do? Because clearly being inside of those four walls and being on a mission to bring people to whatever it was that you were, trying to build up. What was that like? And what was like that determining factor that led you to that?
So it was a few things. I went through my own, once I got, when you ask me these questions, because I was born in the church and went through church, it's bringing me back to certain pivotal moments that made me into who I am now.
Right.
So when I was, 24, 25, I was kicked out the church.
Yep, 24.
I was kicked out the church. I was told, I was a lowlife. I was told that I was demonic. I was told that I was a lost cause to Christ. I was told that. And one thing about the church is I love the church. I love the church, but respectfully, no one really holds the church accountable. That's just like if you tell. So okay, check this out. If I come and tell you that I was kicked out of the church, what do you think the first response is?
I'm gonna ask. So what did you do?
What did you do?
What did you do?
And so you know what I mean. So when I told someone I was kicked out of the church, every time I told someone that I was kicked out of the church and I was told that I was a lost cause, had everything, their first response was, "What did you do?"
Right.
And that was hurtful.
Right.
Like so. Okay, so the church can't do any wrong. Or then when I tell someone, it was to well, we are humans just like everyone else. So it was no accountability there.
Right.
And because I've experienced church hurt from childhood all the way through adulthood, I say I gotta position myself where nobody can have this power over me again. That's just the truth.
I love that. Nobody can have that power over you, but you can still carry out your mission. Yeah. And your purpose. I love that.
Right.
I love that. I love that.
Because let me tell you one thing though. All of us are born with unique gifts. I don't care if you're the pastor, I don't care if you're the pope, I don't care if you're the bum on the street, I don't care if you're the one that's cleaning toilets. Every single person on this earth was born with gifts. Right. And I don't care how much I get mad at you, Latoy.
Oh my God. If I could pause and erase that, I would. Dang you.
Hey, don't ever call my wife that.
Don't ever.
I may have to edit that out.
You're not editing it out. It is what it is.
Because it's getting so
well,
intimate.
I was going to say it's an indication, like, so he just called me by name that only he can call me by. But this is a true indication that we are having real conversations. There's nothing that's been prepped and prompt. Like, we are having real conversation because my goal in today is for people to really draw closer to the man that's building a healing community.
Right.
Like, I think that is so important for them to know your story. And so don't do it again.
I won't. And please don't disrespect me by calling her that.
Unpause. Go.
All right. But where was I again?
I don't even know.
So I forgot where I was at.
I know.
But okay, I was here. So every single person on this earth was born with a gift.
Yes.
And I don't care how much I get mad at you. I don't care if I walk out of your life today. I don't care if me and you decided to go separate ways. Guess what?
You're
still
absolutely,
gifted.
Absolutely.
God still gave you a special gift, and no one can take that from you. And I believe that. So I just got to a point where I was like, okay, God, I knew nobody can tell me I don't have a purpose because it's obvious. I've always had influence. So I just went to God and said, hey, if you want me to continue to build people, because I love building people. I love building. If I had a weakness, that would be one of my weaknesses because my heart want to see everybody win.
That's definitely one of your weaknesses. Absolutely.
So I said, God, if you want me to continue to build people, then you have to put me in a position where I can never get kicked out again. I can never get if I'm
hurt.
I can. Well, I'm not. It's not even. I can never get disrespected in that manner again. And you have to allow me to be myself because one thing I'm going to do is be myself.
Right.
So then, see, it's building blocks. So when that started, right? Now I got to build up.
Yeah.
So that moment hit. The last moment hit where the pastor kicked me out the church and told me I was a low life.
Right.
Right. Lonely road. No one. I reached out to the ministers in the church. I reached out to his, and everyone was shocked, but no one was really there to support me, and everybody just kept that going.
Which is why you said there's nobody there to hold the church
accountable. I'm talking about so much so where, like the gentleman told the pastor told my mother that he was thinking about getting a gun for me.
Right.
So nobody's gonna hold this person accountable.
Right.
And this is not just that person. I've been through other experiences
with different individuals.
Where, okay, come on now. But to make a long story short, I got to that phase, so that put me through a lonely phase where I had to go through some. Listen, I'm like, now it's making me question. Ask God these questions.
Right.
Like, if I never go to church again, does that really mean I'm going to hell?
Wow.
So this is why all things work together for the good for those who really love God.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I started asking myself that, like asking God, so am I going to go to hell because I don't want to go through that experience again? And it's over and over again. How many times I have to hit my head against the wall to say, enough is enough.
Right.
So not knowing that it was going to lead me to this mission.
Right.
Right. So I did that. So in this phase, this is like this was like a 10, 12 year period of like, I had to do a self-development. I went through a phase where I told you I was feeling like an animal, a lion trapped into a cage. Like, it's more than just these walls.
Right.
And I got kicked out the church. And then a guy by the name of Eckhart Tolle came on TV. And I saw him. He was on Oprah at the time.
Yeah.
And
Oprah, Soul Sundays
Soul
with Oprah.
Sunday. And I've always felt like I was a strange person. Sometimes so much so that my parents wouldn't understand me.
Right.
I'm a lot like them, but they didn't understand me though.
Right.
So when this guy Eckhart Tolle came on and he was talking about this spiritual awareness, and he came on TV, and I just looked at it and said, and that's it. And I just started crying. There's a world out there for me. There's a community out there for somebody like me.
Right.
Because I know it's more than just about praying. I know it's more than just about speaking in tongues. I know it's more than just about giving you money to the.
Right.
I know it's more than just coming. So it put me in a place where I had to observe self.
Right.
I had to observe self. I had to realize. I had to ask myself, what was I missing?
Right.
So, like Big Dog Talk podcast is like something that is similar to the church. Mm-hmm. It's like the thing that's right in the middle of the church, the world in the church.
Right.
I'm like the one in between.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
So I went through a phase of self-observation. I went through a phase of anger, hurt, all of these things. I had to go through the phase of healing myself. I had to go through this phase of, it was a lonely road. My parents thought it was, my parents thought something was wrong with me, because I was just changing.
You saying your parents, but I like to throw myself in there.
You thought something was wrong with me.
You know what, just to, put my 2 cents in as I sat back and observed. I mean, I think we had just had Charles.
Right.
Autumn was really young. She was about 10 years old. We had just had Charles. He was running around about 13 months old.
Right.
And we were about to have Chase.
Yeah.
And you were really going through like
a spirit.
It looked, from the outside looking in, it looked dark.
Yeah.
It looked dark and it was different.
That's because it was dark.
I knew that there was nothing, like there was nothing that I could do because one, I wasn't even in a space to even understand what the hell you was talking about. Right. And so, yes, I thought that you were very strange. When you came to me and you told me that, I literally laughed and I was like,
I said, I'm
what
changing. I said, I'm different. I'm changing.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting ready to turn on me. I'm changing. I'm different.
Yeah. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I told you, I said, I heard a voice. God said he's taking me to a secret place.
Right.
And you bust out laughing in my face.
I did. I did.
But to look back at it, God did that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
God did that. God did that to with my parents not understanding me at the time, to my family not understanding me. You know what I mean? God did that. You know what I mean? It was all God's doing because.
And so that moment with you in your darkness and.
I love that.
What's his name?
Eckhart
Tolle.
Right.
You, your dark moment, Eckhart Tolle and self.
And God.
That catapulted you into.
Man, a big dog.
What?
A big dog. Just like you said earlier, you said it seemed, just like you just said a few seconds ago, you said it seemed like it was so dark.
Mm-hmm, it did.
It was.
Because it was causing conflict even between us.
It was dark.
Yeah.
It was, listen, that phase of life taught me, you have to be willing to go to the depths of your soul, the darkness area of your life in order to shine your brightest. That's facts.
Yeah.
You have to go to the pits of the hell on the inside of you and learn about that and accept some things about yourself. This is me. I am good and I am bad.
Gotta do that shadow work, Jack.
I am no different than my uncle that's selling dope over there. I'm no different than that pastor that's preaching hope over there.
That's right.
I have to tell the truth. I can pray for you and I can bust you in your face at the same time.
That's real.
So I didn't want to just have a mask on that I was just some kind of way. Listen, I'm working on me. I have to manage me. So I went to the depths of my soul. Everything that I didn't like about me, I had to go discover that.
Right.
I had to go face that. Face some monsters of some truth, some hard truths about myself.
Right.
And that was lonely because I didn't have anyone around me that really understood it.
No, because keeping it 100.
Hold on now. I'm talking about some truths about myself. Okay, I was mad at some things with. Listen, I was mad at the church. I was mad at my parents for certain things, although they were great parents. Absolutely. I was mad at my wife for certain things, although she's a great wife. I was mad at myself and realized I have some weaknesses about me I can't overcome right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? I had to go look in the mirror and I got some thorns in my flesh, and it's just the hardcore truth.
Right.
You know what I mean? And no one gets to make me feel bad because I'm struggling with these things. Are you following me?
Oh, I'm with you.
I had to go just accept some hard truth about myself. I had to go look in that mirror, and one thing about looking in that mirror and learning the truth about yourself, it will shock the hell out of you. That's why a lot of people don't want to look at self because they're afraid that looking at themselves is going to expose the real truth about self.
Yeah.
I'm a lover and a fighter.
Right.
I'm no different than the only difference between a good guy and a bad guy is I know how to manage that. I know how to govern that. I know how to be autonomous. I know how to, you know what I mean? I know how to direct that energy.
Right.
You understand? Because I'm nobody's, what is it, predator, prey? I'm nobody's prey.
Yeah.
I'm nobody's prey. But at the same time, I realize, though, I can do all things as long as I got God on the inside of me.
Right.
And I'm getting excited because, you know, that was a dark phase. It was a dark phase. And you got to go to the depths of your soul.
Right.
You got to go to the depths of your soul if you really want transformation. The truth about myself, sometimes I struggle with mental health.
Yep.
It's just
That's
the
the
truth.
truth. That's the truth.
I don't want to seem like I'm just strong all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just the truth.
This is why I wanted to flip the script on you today, because, you know, you do motivational Mondays. You know, you've been doing podcasts for a couple of years. You know, you lead our family and things like that. And so it could be very easy to look at Big Charles and feel like you don't have any areas in your life from the past or the present, and obviously in the future, that are areas that you are continuing to work out in.
Well, here's the thing, though. Life is spiritual warfare. I mean that. Life is like, we don't war with flesh and blood. And what I mean by that is there are some powerful forces out there that's trying to tear up, just trying to break you down for certain reasons. And I live by that.
Right.
Based off the things I experienced and seen in my own eyes. Right. You know what I mean? So, of course, it's like that dark side know your weaknesses.
Absolutely.
So that dark side, that some people call it the devil. I don't like giving the devil credit, so I don't even like saying a name like that. You know what I mean? But reality is we all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. We all have something. We all have these things that's going on inside of us.
Right.
Listen, during this phase of this period, it's like a 10-year period of just like me working on me. 10 years of like unlearning and relearning. 10 years of just erasing the hard drive and standing on certain principles that I was taught based off of faith.
Right.
So I didn't throw faith out because I know how faith changed my life.
Love that you said that.
I couldn't throw it away.
Right.
But I could challenge some of these traditional things that just didn't sit right with me.
Right.
You know, I will study, I will observe the church. Okay, so why is the pastor is always, these are just certain things.
Right.
And again, I'm saying not to discredit the church,
right,
but to see how this podcast came about. Because I realized that there was a problem out there in the world that it's more than just church. If it was just church, then everybody would be fixed, because majority of our culture community is in the church.
Yep.
So if it was just the church, right? If it was just the church,
yeah,
then we wouldn't be as hurt as we shouldn't be as hurt as we are.
So when you say that it's not just the church, that leads me back to a statement that you said earlier. All roads lead back to self. Why do I say that? Because you could be sitting in the church every single Sunday under the leadership of someone, hearing sermons, hearing different, biblical teachings. But when you leave there, you still have to look yourself in the mirror. So when you wake up and when you go to bed, you got to look yourself in the mirror. So the question then begins, what are you doing to self-govern,
hold yourself accountable,
develop, to to become more self-aware?
So here's the thing. And it's crazy because I have some notes. I take notes every day. It's crazy because you asking me this question. You put me on spot today, but I was actually putting some stuff down in regards of why did I create the Big Dog Talk podcast and what, you know what I mean? And I wrote some stuff here. So this was just my observation of me growing up in church and what I was witnessing and what I was getting from God.
Right.
And I put on here, you see, I have notes here. It says, the church is an excited group of people, but have no depth. The church is anointed, full of power. Mm-hmm. Today's church, but no character. Wow. Power but no principles.
Wow.
Gifted. You can sing your butt off. You can preach your butt off. You can say a poem like no other, but have no standards. Live with no standards. Flashy, but no internal faith. Meaning you getting an emotional high every single week, but back depressed as soon as you leave here. This was my perspective. You asked me this question, right. How did we get to the Big Dog Talk podcast? So I was trying to figure out this is me communicating with God.
Right.
What is it am I missing that I want that I can give to the people as well?
Right.
And I said, the church have become experts at setting up appointments every single Sunday, but we don't set appointments with God to come inside the church.
Right.
To me, it's just a bunch of, I don't want to sound like it had become theatrical.
Right.
Like a play. So, and then I've got tired of seeing so many people struggling mentally still, financially. Marriages were still breaking. And I felt like we needed to get more raw with people. Mm-hmm. Take the politics out of it. Yeah. So I just kept asking God, like, what can I do? What can I do? I know it's more out there. What is it that I'm missing? What is it that I would want to see from the church?
Right.
And I would like to see more people other than a pastor successful.
Right.
I would like to see more people other than a pastor, you know what I mean, traveling and going all over the world and taking 30-day vacations. Right. I want to see the people doing that.
Right.
Because if you are a great leader, you don't create followers. Leaders create leaders.
More leaders. Yep.
You know, and listen, the church is definitely needed. But you asked me why did I create the Big Dog Talk podcast? So here it goes. I created the Big Dog Talk podcast because God told me, just how you healed yourself. I want you to put back together the family. I want you to talk about family, but the only way you can talk about family is you have to heal the relationships. But the only way that you can heal relationships, you have to heal the person, individual. All roads leads back to self. If we want a better community, we have to heal the family. If we want a better family, we have to heal the relationship. If we want to heal the relationship, but guess what? I have to heal me.
And I have to heal me.
And you have to heal you.
Absolutely.
And I say this all the time. A relationship is the biggest pot for transformation because it demands you to look at yourself. Let me tell you something. When I decided to stop pointing the finger at you, when I decided to stop pointing the finger at the church, when I decided to stop pointing the finger at my parents,
right,
and say, you know what? I'm taking ownership of my life. That was the day I gained so much power. I can never get kicked out of church again. I can always control my world.
Yep.
And whether together we're stronger. Together you are great. But if you was to walk away from me, I'm still a great human being. You're still a great human being. Right. But if the main goal is we come to heal families. When I say heal families, we want to heal finances. We're talking about we want to see freedom. We want to see entrepreneurship. We want to see spiritual blessings.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So this podcast, it has depth to it. It has value to it. So even like the word big dog, I was always a motivator before the podcast ever started. I was always on social media motivating the people. They used to call me the hope messenger. You know what I mean? I was always uplifting the people. I was always doing that. You always talked about cash flow. Because cash flow represents freedom.
Yep. I
always talk about be better than yesterday.
Listen, at the end of the day, this is not the end of the podcast, but this is at the end of the day, you have a lot of credibility. You know what I mean? And in the podcast, industry, there are a lot of podcasters. There are successful podcasters. There are people that, utilize podcasts for many different reasons. But what I want the Big Dog Talk community, the healing community, to understand that they are connecting to a person that has a story, that has evolved and has led them to what they now see today, which is the Big Dog Talk podcast. But that everything that you say every week, everything that you do, all the things that you put out there, that you are absolutely credible. Why can you talk about building a healing community? Because you had to build yourself. You had to heal yourself.
I've been working on healing me, and I work on healing me every single day. And just because you heal yourself, that doesn't mean that you don't pull the scab off old wounds.
That's exactly what healing yourself means. You do.
You know what I mean?
You tap into that part.
Healing yourself don't mean that you're broken. Healing yourself means that you got the Band-Aid on the scab, and it's time for you to free that thing. It's time for you to give it some air. Big Dog Talk is this here. This is how Big Dog Talk came about. How serious, how intimate can I get with the people? Because I already told them your name how intimate can I get?
Go ahead. So,
Big Dog Talk came about this. I was at a time and a place where in this same phase of life, I've also was at a phase in my marriage as well, where I felt like I couldn't talk to my wife. We couldn't have hard conversations. And I've trained myself to have hard conversations from childhood all the way to, we couldn't have conversations.
Tough conversations.
We couldn't have tough conversations. And I heard God say one day, this is why a lot of us fall off, and this is why a lot of families are broken, because we don't like having tough conversations. Son, I heard this voice, that God energy, INNERGY, say, I need you to normalize tough conversations. But before I can normalize tough conversations on Big Dog Talk podcast, I needed to have some Big Dog Talk conversations with my wife and I. There's some things I'm just not happy about right now. There's some things that you also need to work on, not just me. No, y'all hear the bird?
Excited.
No, it's some things that you may not even like about me. We're not suppressing that anymore. Because that's part of adding to depression. That's part of adding to, you know what I mean, like suicide.
Panic attacks, anxiety,
because you're not talking to me. You scared,
Absolutely.
you afraid you're going to hurt my feelings. No, we're going to have these conversations because I love you. We're going to have these conversations because we need to normalize that. Do you know how many families are broken and don't talk to each other today because they are offended by hard conversations?
Yep.
So it's Big Dog Talk conversations. Big dogs do big things. Like, people like to say, I'm a big dog. No, big dogs do big things. I don't want to just be the messenger, but I am the message as well. Whatever I am teaching you, I want to be the example. No, I am not perfect. I'm not even trying to be perfect. But baby, we got to have these Big Dog Talk conversations because there are some weaknesses in me. There are some weaknesses in me when you shut me out, that I have to go and deal with by myself. So we gotta talk. We gotta start having these conversations. We gotta normalize this. Or if we don't normalize it, we're gonna be like everyone else. And I always tell God that I want to heal my ancestors before me and after me. I feel like that I was brought on this earth like to be an example. Like, be an example. It ain't, man. Being a family man is one of the hardest things. Being a husband is one of the hardest things. Why? Because it exposed everything about me. If you wasn't in my life, I don't have to challenge my weaknesses. Right. You know what I mean? If I wasn't in your life, you wouldn't have to challenge your weaknesses through arguments. You keep saying the same thing over and over. I need to go and check that.
Right.
So Big Dog Talk podcast, it's like we have hard conversations. You know what I mean? All roads lead back to self. What is it? Let's talk about the situation. Let's talk about the problem. Let's stop dismissing it. Let's stop sweeping it under the rug. You know what I mean? And just growing up, I watched my parents, their failures and their strengths.
Right.
I know what marriage did for me. I know what marriage do for our kids. I know what relationships do for, it sharpens you.
Healthy relationships.
I know, you know what I mean? I observe that. I study it. So I want to build a community where, like I said, it's in depth, where I see individuals whole and happy. I see individuals going after their dreams and visions. I see individuals that financially free.
Right.
I see individuals that's working on themselves because they don't want to pass down their darkest demons to their kids. I really want to see people win to the fault at some time, to the fault of me.
Tell that to the people.
I really want to see you win to the fault of me.
To the point where you lose sleep at night.
Exactly.
That's the part that people don't see.
Like, every person on this earth, man, was born with gifts. Every person on this earth is special. No one is more important than self. You know, if you are hurt, it is your job. It wasn't your fault that you were hurt. But if you're older, it's your fault that it's your job to go and correct it now.
That's where the healing comes in.
That's where the healing comes in.
Absolutely.
The more we point fingers at one another.
Very true.
I studied the world. I studied social media. It's the man fussing at pointing the finger at the woman. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
Yep.
It's the woman pointing the finger at the man. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And nobody is problem solving. Nobody is saying, how can we work together? And I had to go back to self-development. I believe that self-development is the basic fundamental foundation outside of faith to heal self, to heal family, to heal community, you know what I mean, to heal those around you.
Okay, so Big Charles, you're doing fantastic. I'm very proud of you for your transparency, your vulnerability, and just sharing your story. So when you say self-development, I need you to, you know me, I'm big on application and practicality. I need you to give the people, I only want you to do 3. Give them three things that they can do after listening to this episode on Big Dog Talk that will lead them in the right direction. I know it helped me, but that will help to also lead them into an initiating their healing journey, their self-awareness journey, their self-development journey.
Okay.
Just 3.
So it just depends on what phase of life you're in. If you're in a phase of life where you're hurt.
Mm-hmm. Universal language right there.
If you're in a phase of life where you're hurt, someone hurt you. It can be dad, mom, uncle, auntie, cousins, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband. If you're in this phase and you're hurt, it's your responsibility now to heal that wound. 1, talk about it.
Yep.
To somebody. Whether it's a friend, whether it's a therapist, whether it's going to church, whether it's a group, an environment.
They can journal too.
Journal.
Yep.
If you are hurt by someone, it is your job to start talking about it now. Let's have the conversation. If someone in the family hurt you, it's time to talk about it, regardless of it, if it makes someone else uncomfortable.
I had to straighten.
Regardless. If your area is you're frustrated because my finances are not where they want to be. It is your job to go and search for information, learn how to create freedom for yourself. And you have to have that means read books. That means get around from broke-minded people. Get around people that's going after success. Get around people that live a better lifestyle than you, that challenges you. Get around these type of people. Read these type of books.
Listen to these kind of podcasts.
Listen to these kind of podcasts, and then go study, then apply, put application to it. Application. Go talk to someone, get some advice, get a coach, get a mentor.
Yes.
Clear up these dark corners in your internal world to create some clear up your mental real estate.
Creating space. Another one.
You have to create space in your internal world, because there's nothing that we can do to stop life from life and beating us up. That's life. I accept that.
Because, baby.
But the more you clear up the spaces in your life that's bothering you, find out whatever you want to deal with, because it's a constant daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, so much so that you have to take a break from it at times. Yeah. But what's bothering you to the point where you can't sleep at night? What's bothering you to the point where it's stopping you from being nice? You don't even know why you got an attitude, because you're not mad at your husband or your spouse. You're mad at your parents. You mad at your ex. You mad because you're broke. We're mad. You know what I mean?
Or you mad because you never really followed your dream. Life stopped you from doing that.
So if that's the situation.
Yeah.
If that's the situation, you have to know where you are at in life. Mm-hmm. If you're mad because you haven't lived out your mission, your dream, your calling.
Yep.
It's time for you to create some space for you to live out that gift that God placed on the inside of you. If you are gifted at something and life took over, it's time for you to say, you know what? I gotta sit down. I gotta figure this out. Become a problem solver and stop focusing on the problem so much. But what I am saying is, God energy lives on the inside of us. Lives on the inside of us. As long as this podcast is here, even if it doesn't go across the world, I'm only doing what God called me to do. I don't know when to stop.
Right. Amen.
I'll do what I'm. So as long as I'm here, as long as this podcast is here, I'm going to always say all roads leads back to self. I'm going to always say that. I'm going to always say all roads lead back to self. Healing, financial freedom, faith, family, fitness, finances, freedom, all mental health, all roads lead back to self. Become autonomous, right? I'm going to bring people, I'm going to have guests to come on this podcast.
Absolutely.
That's also more successful than me, people that I look up to, right. People that inspire me, just so you can see, because seeing is believing. If you see other people that look just like you, that can go and start a business and be successful, which is my wife is the first person that I've ever seen that walk away from an executive job and become a successful entrepreneur. But if you see someone like Big Shay do it, left an executive job and start a successful business, if I can get them to come on the podcast and talk about their lifestyle, their childhood, their life experiences, where they are in life, if you can see they do it, then baby, guess what? You're going to believe that you can do it.
Yeah, because we're really no different.
I'm no special than you. I just know I'm special though.
Yeah.
God don't love me no more than he love you, but I just know God love me though. You know? And we have this God energy on the inside of us. If you're not happy in your relationship and you're always pointing the finger at your partner, no. What am I doing wrong? All roads lead back to self. Like we're like the social media world. Social media has manipulated our minds.
Absolutely.
To focus on everybody else but self. You get on social media, you see somebody doing good. You compare yourself to them. You get on social media, you see a happy couple.
You're not happy.
You're not happy because you're watching their life. No, control your life. I have a tattoo that say, go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life that you imagine for yourself. What kind of life do you imagine for yourself? You can pray for yourself. You can pray for your family. You can manifest things for yourself. Everybody have this God energy on the inside of us, and it's just my job to lead you back to yourself. It is my job to hold you accountable to yourself. It is my job to put it back on you because you are the author of your own story. You're the author, you're the director, and you are the main character, and you need to know that.
Come on with the main character energy, Big Charles.
If you're not the star of your life,
that.
if you're not the star of your life, you need to fix that. Every one of us deserves to be the star of our own life.
That's what main character energy means.
Big Charles, and that's on some God energy in real life. All roads lead back to self.
Let me go ahead and tap into my main character energy a little bit more.
You threw me off.
So good. So I am so very proud of you. You did not know that I was going to do this to you today. You did a fantastic job. Like this, if I would have envisioned this episode to look anyway, it would have looked just like this. So good job. I definitely, as your wife, and hopefully the people watching and listening can tell that you put your heart and your soul into all of your responses today, right? So how did that feel though? On some real like wrapping it up type energy, like how did that feel? Being able to really put the spotlight. You deserve the spotlight, right? So let's not get it twisted. You are a very selfless individual, and a lot of times you will shine a light on everybody but yourself. And so intentionally today, like I think the timing is right. The community is great. It was perfect timing to be able to put the spotlight on you to really be able to bring this thing full circle and allow people to see, hear, and feel what they are connecting themselves to. So like, how did that feel?
It was a reminder that I'm in a people building business. It was a reminder that this just really empowered me. I'm in a people building business.
Absolutely.
I build people. I don't care if I have to break you down to build you back up, but it's my job as a leader to build you up, to make you feel like you are the most powerful being on this earth because that powerful being lives on the inside of you. I am in a people building business, and it's my job to get you to die to the old you. It is my job to get you to die to the old you in rebirth, something like a resurrection. All roads leads back to self. Big Charles. God energy.